Hey, good morning, David.
Good morning, Adam. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thanks. Busy. How you doing? How was your trip?
It was good.
Yeah, good.
Um, we had lots of fun with our grand puppy,
Nice.
and the place we stayed was lavish. I wouldn't want to live there,
Yeah.
but no, interestingly enough, in San Diego, I had more difficulty breathing for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was really noticeable. And when I came home, it was like a relief.
Hmm. Like the air quality wasn't as good?
I guess so.
Wow.
Um, it was really, and there weren't any noticeable forest fire effects at the moment there.
Wow.
So that was kind of interesting because I sort of thought, gee, San Diego, that ought to be really good.
Yeah, right.
It was warm, I will say that.
Well, at least it was nice weather, right? Hmm.
We had a good time though. It was really, I have to say, it was really nice. There are very few bugs, and the house door to the outside areas could be open all the time.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of too bad that we have so many little critters in the summer, you know?
yeah. Well, and our would be nice not to have extremes of heat, but of course, there's no climate change.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
Um, I was
yeah.
gonna say, just to let you know, I got a couple of guys here working on the furnace and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I might have to like pop in and out if they need
Okay.
something just as we progress here.
All right. I am recording.
Okay.
How are things at the hospital?
Yeah, they're all right.
Oh,
Um,
still that way, huh?
yeah, I mean they're still really pushing the 11 a.m. discharges, so my whole schedule is all kind of rearranged. I'm now going in for like 7 in the morning, which is an adjustment. I mean, it's not bad, but
Yeah.
just kind of an adjustment because they really want people in my role focusing on the discharges, but it makes it difficult to find the time to do any of the other work that you still need to do.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of an adjustment with the time period, going in first thing in the morning, but also just figuring out like when I'm going to get any of the work done.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
like every day I barely, kind of skate by the skin of my teeth. So
That's hard.
yeah,
And they
yeah.
didn't pay you any extra, right?
Well, so they did a market adjustment for the nurses. So they're trying to retain staff. So they gave everyone a little bit more money.
Oh,
So I am getting a little bit more money, which is nice, whatever. But it's still just a compound problem because I don't know if it's enough to keep people, you know. There's
yeah.
something about the newer nurses where they just don't want to stay put. You know,
Huh.
they work on a unit for like 6 months and they figure like, well, let me go see what's going on in that unit over there, or let me check out a different type of area. Let me go to the OR. Um, so everyone's moving around. No one has been anywhere long enough to really know what they're doing.
Huh.
And staffing levels are pretty chaotic because of it. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, they're trying to do everything they can to like right the financial ship, but um, so they told the travel nurses mid-contract that they're going to cut their pay.
Ooh.
So predictably, most of the travel nurses said, "See you later."
Yeah.
Um, so now our staffing levels are really low. I mean, dangerously low because
Huh.
of that. And I get it. They're spending way too much money on the travelers, but I think doing it mid-contract just put a bad taste in everyone's mouth. People probably would have renegotiated when the contract was up. So when it was time to say whether you want to stay and what, we need to make a new contract, I mean, that's kind of the time to say, okay, we can't afford to keep paying you the rates we were paying you. Would you be willing to do this? But,
Whoa,
so we'll see what happens with all that. Hey, how you doing? Oh, you're good. So like a lot of travel nurses just left. I mean, they're hopefully going to retain people because they're paying the nurses more money, but it doesn't really patch us over for the time being. So
yeah,
it's going to be an interesting month. Almost every unit should be staffing 5 or 6 people, and they've got 1 or 2. So
oh geez.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
David, hi, Adam.
How are you?
Doing, buddy?
Yeah, well.
When are you gonna be able to do something about this?
Tomorrow.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Finally arrived there.
Yep, none too soon.
That's true. Well, I hope it all goes well.
Thank you. I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
So.
Good morning, Joanne.
Good morning. I'm sorry. I thought it was joining early and then I realized it was already 9:01. I was like, where did that go? I don't know,
Oh, well.
Oh, well, another minute or two. Hi, everybody.
So Bill Bynum had retina surgery
Right.
last week, and he's lying face down. And
Oh,
so
waiting for it to bubble up.
right, and so he will probably not be with us today.
Yeah, no. And he said he has to keep his head down. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
limiting.
but I had a nice chat with him yesterday, and he seems in pretty good spirits, and
Good.
he'll be back with us
We'll
when
be
he
back.
Good.
and as I said in my email, last week was the beginning of a new session.
Lost track.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, David.
I just noticed that. Yeah.
No, I didn't. I failed to let anybody know, so it's not your fault. You don't need to apologize.
We'll send you money. And did you see my note? I have a 10 o'clock meeting I cannot avoid or be
Oh,
late
okay.
to, so I will have to get off a little before that.
Okay. Very good. Let us begin then. So, questions?
I do. There was something I was confused about
Uh-huh.
in the reading. I mean, I know I listened to it, but sometimes when you read back. So it's early on in last week's class. When you are talking about, so you start off, your left and right channels go through your bones in your arms and legs. We'll get to the torso in a minute. They go through the bones. Then the next paragraph, your central channel, on the other hand, only flows through your bone marrow.
Yes, yeah.
So, okay, I'm just still trying to grasp all of that in terms of that space between the top of our head and our perineum. So where there are bones, it goes through the bone marrow. I mean, I'm just kind of trying to get this image here.
Yes, I actually, that would have been good to have said that. where
Okay, so it's the
bone.
where, yeah, right. It's not like
So
checking out the skeleton to get through there.
as I think I at another point indicate, in the torso, basically the side channel runs from the shoulder's nest down to
Yep.
the qua point. And the central channel runs right down through the center of the body, which means
Yes,
not through the spine. So the center, so the
right,
center of
exactly.
the body would not be where the spine is. So
That's right.
we have energy both traveling it through the spine as well as through the central channel. As always, we have multiple channels
Yep.
everywhere. So
Yes, yes, that's, I mean, I understood all that, what you said, but then that, that paragraph coming right after the other one where I understand the, when the, through the bones in the arms and legs, and then that follow-up is like, something I'm not grasping, but I think I understand now.
so in coming down, all three of them are coming down together through the center of the head. And they separate, the left and right separate.
Right.
At roughly the level of the throat notch. There is also a second channel that actually separate, it's about heart level. And actually it is a heart point on the governing vessel, where the energy also separates out to the shoulder's nest. So there are actually two places where that can occur. And then if the side flows down, the center flows down and goes into the legs, and in the legs, then again you have the left and right going through the bone and the center through the marrow.
Yep.
And again, the left and right join the center at the tips of the toes and the fingers before the central channel leaves the body.
Yep, thank you. Yep, I understand.
Okay. Other questions or concerns or reports or successes, failures? Nothing at all.
No, I guess reports just, I better sense of the central and right and left channels, more in the torso than getting up into the head. Especially, 5 and 6. It doesn't feel like it gets that high.
Yep.
So still working on that.
It will get there.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, it's like all of these practices, you probably don't begin by being able to get it fully to where you'd like it to go. But over time, as you continue to practice, hopefully with some regularity, you get it to increase. And indeed, it arrives. It'll get there. So interestingly enough, we are arriving at the end or approaching. We've still got a couple of classes here to go, but we're approaching the end of the first level in this God's training. And so actually this week and next week, we're going to be doing some review, which might be helpful at this point because we've gone through a lot of stuff, some of it pretty rapidly. So the first thing is that you want to combine all the Neigong of this beginning level together, including breathing, alignments, connecting the nervous system. But all of this in one sense, is going to rest on is the ability to have your mind become quiet and have your mind penetrate your body. And then from your mind having penetrated your body, moving your mind into your body. You move your mind inside your body. So if you move your mind inside your body, sooner or later, the chi is going to follow. And as a matter of fact, it should over time exponentially increase. Excuse me. So I want you to do a short flow, 6 repetitions of each posture. So stand up.
I'm going to remain seated, David.
That's quite all right. If you need to remain seated, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
So tune into your alignments. Feel your structure. Be aware of opening your structure, not allowing it to collapse. And breathing. Allow your breathing to be slow as is reasonable without becoming breathless. And sink your mind through your body. Which causes the chi to sink through your body. And then extend your mind inside your body. Feel it moving. And then when you're ready, beginning to flow into this short flow of gods. Being very aware of maintaining your alignments. And being aware of your nervous system. feel your mind moving inside your body. Now remember, when you're learning something, that's not necessarily the same thing as when you do it. You might spend 100 hours to learn how to do some skill, but then when you do it, you do all the progressive stages in it. and you just do them all at one time. Now, if you want to hit a baseball, you have to learn how to stand, turn your waist, what you do with your shoulders, where you look, how you keep your eye on the ball, and how you hit it, and what you do inside your body to create the right pressure. And after you've gone through all those steps that comprise the ability to hit a baseball, if you leave one of them out, you usually don't do it very well. So you now have to seamlessly combine all those steps into one thing. You're only doing one thing. You're looking at the ball and you're going to hit it. You're not in your mind going through checklists. Am I doing this and this and this and this? When you're learning how to do a movement, you have to go through the checklist. But the purpose of it is for all of it to become seamless in the end, with all of them happening at once. And this is going to require that your mind expand. And at one level, your unconscious mind is capable of keeping track of hundreds of things at one time. But your conscious mind is sometimes able to keep that awareness, but it's only able to maintain awareness of about 7 plus or minus new things. And anytime you add something, so you have to go through the slow process of getting new things integrated, which is a conscious thing. You know you're trying to do it, but then you have to have it occur inside your mind, inside your movements. So you're not thinking about it. I'm doing this and this and this and this. You only think about where you are in the movement and where you're going next. But the learning phase, which you've just gone through, is to get that seamless internal movement. And if you don't have that seamless internal movement, know that it would be a good idea to start to work on getting it now. So we will be reviewing the main points of all the 6 movements. Normally, when you do GODS, you should be ideally doing 20 repetitions of them. But as we start looking at these Neigong components, realize something, that there are 16 basic Neigong components, and we have really only looked at 3 or 4. But you have to start from a solid base. So getting this together is going to be as, if not more important, than getting the physical movements together. When you do want to get the physical movements together, when your mind goes inside your body, what you want is to have your mind traveling inside your body, make these physical movements happen. You could just do a movement. Oh, I think I should be doing some Neigong. I should do some breathing. No. Your mind is going inside and moving you, and then your mind will simultaneously go to how you're breathing, and your mind will simultaneously go into how you maintain your alignments. So it is your mind that's actually going to make these things happen. But your body will get a workout because your mind's going to tell your body to get a full workout. So let's think a little bit about the breathing in GODS. Essentially, what you've been taught up to now is how to breathe from the diaphragm, the front of the belly, the sides of the belly, the kidneys, the lower back, the upper back, and your upper lungs. But what you want is, how long do you need to practice to be able to breathe from your diaphragm so that you don't have to think about it anymore. It will do what it does, and you will realize if your diaphragm is not doing what it needs to do because the front or anywhere else in your breathing is not breathing well. If your diaphragm is not breathing well, the rest of it's not going to work well either. So you're really going to have to look at how you translate what's happening in your diaphragm to all these other forms of breathing. You want your breathing to go very slowly, but still you can do the basic 6 parts of breathing from the diaphragm to the upper lungs, or at least from the diaphragm to the upper back. You don't really want to be incorporating other forms of breathing, such as hard, medium, or soft breathing into God's. Once you can have that breathing be very steady, you need to do it very simply so that you can get, a very even chi flow inside your body. The thing that you're trying to achieve is getting out, you're trying to avoid is getting out of breath or holding your breath. There is no holding the breath in God's. So you have to use every trick that you can think of to get your breathing to become smooth. Out of breathing, you're eventually going to be able to extract chi. The breathing is not chi, but in the beginning, at least, get the breathing so that you are preparing yourself to go to the next stage of the sense of not breathing air, but the sense of breathing chi. So I want you actually to do another short flow and be particularly aware of your breathing. So do 4 repetitions of each posture. We won't do long ones here. But focus on the breathing. Try to get that as full and coordinated and smooth as possible. So any questions at the moment? How was your breathing?
You know, the first time around when we did the 6, I felt like I was losing my breathing for some reason. I was kind of aware of that at some point. But I didn't feel that this way. I felt like I really, yeah. I think, you know, the breathing for me was very hard at the beginning. Some of it felt counterintuitive in some ways, but I kind of forgotten that already. It's just like reminding of that, oh yeah, this used to be hard. It's not anymore. Yeah.
Good. Bill or Adam?
Well, I didn't attend directly to the breathing throughout. It felt good. It's still a somewhat frustrating, somewhat weird experience, concentrating on one thing to a greater or lesser extent, in at the same time trying to make it incorporated within everything else so that you're not concentrating on it.
That's right.
Um,
That's right. That'll
So,
work.
you know, in the portions where I'm pretty sure the breathing was going well, but I wasn't aware of it, are kind of frustrating to a person like me who likes to be aware of exactly what's going on and whether I'm fulfilling the contract. And you know, when it's all incorporated and flowing and I'm not concentrating on it, I have no way of measuring, you know, so it just felt good. That's all.
That's good and interesting, Bill. I mean, it's again pointing to the difference between focusing on an element,
Yeah,
whether you're doing it in just one posture or whether you're doing it in 6,
yeah,
and just flowing.
yes,
And
Mhm.
when you're flowing, you do want to just flow and
Yeah.
not get caught up in thinking about anything particularly.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably doing fine. I'm really interested in perhaps whether you're having difficulties with the breathing. Is there any part of it?
No, it seems to be coordinated.
Good.
Right now, yeah. So, and I mean, I haven't been able to practice much of the physical aspect of the form. So I have been practicing the 6 stages of the breathing, you know, so
Good.
that as much as I can remember to do it, you know, so.
Right. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Good. Adam?
The breathing's going pretty well. I think 3 is probably the most challenging to keep it smooth through that movement. I find the tempo seems to vary. It's a little, takes more mental focus to try and even it out. While the rest of the postures, the breathing seems to be kind of like on autopilot. And you just can kind of check in and make sure you're still doing like the upper lung breathing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
Yeah, I also noticed, I'm glad you mentioned 3, Adam, because I also find that challenging. But I also noticed that my pace changes because it really is guided by the breathing, right? That sometimes I used to kind of just go too fast, but now because I'm trying to really lengthen that breathing, then that then of course, you know, changes the length of time. Of each posture.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good. So the basic reason why alignments are important is that you want to make sure that they neither block your chi from flowing through that part of your body, or make sure you don't dissipate the energy out of a joint. For example, if you did something wrong with your elbow when you're trying to get your chi to flow from wrist to shoulder, it could literally dissipate at your elbow. So it's not getting a clean flow circulating throughout your body, but you're actually dissipating it. So second, misalignment will cause some strain on the biomechanical nature of the human body. But the biggest thing is that you will neither want to block or dissipate your chi. So here are some of the things that go with this. Ideally, your feet will remain stable on the floor without shifting around. Part of what that means is that the arch is slightly lifted, but you have all the points in the circumference around your foot evenly putting pressure on the floor. Your armpits stay open and do not collapse, do not shut down. For women, this will present an issue because of their breasts. They really have to be clear about going around them. And as soon as you clear them, you bring your arms back into alignment with the side channels. This becomes important since it is about maintaining the flow of the energy through your left and right channels. Under no circumstances should your arms touch your flesh, whether it's a breast, a chest, an arm, or any place. Your arms do not touch your flesh, and ideally are at least about a fist distance away from your body. What this does is it allows the etheric chi that's in your body to circulate as smoothly as it can. When you close down your armpits, or when you touch your body, you are not using the etheric energy around your body, and that is important. Everything that you're doing now is strictly happening internally, below your skin. Your elbow tips are always seeking to be perpendicular. Straight down is perpendicular, but obviously you can't do that in some of these movements. But if you can't get your elbow tip to face all the way to the floor, then you at least want to do a 45-degree angle. And from the tip of your elbow, you want to feel all that energy pressing down. You can feel your elbow tip pressing the ground, or at least pressing your knees. What you do not want is that sense that your elbow is not connected to whatever is in the lower part of your body and your feet. So when your arms come up to the center, you don't want your elbows facing out to the side. It must angle down. So that's a particular issue to really be aware of, because the thing that I often see, although I think all three of you are doing pretty well with this now, but there is a tendency sometimes when people come up to get their elbows out and they need to be down. You need that compression making the elbows face to the floor. Now in movement 2, you're working on the Kwa squat. And that means that you want to make sure that you are folding at the Kwa, the inguinal crease. It doesn't stay still. Your upper body is folding, like folding a piece of paper. And then in movement 5, you're going to have to condense your body by having your pelvis actually rise up slightly. Then from that condense position, you're going to stretch up and down. In movements 5 and 6, you're going to be sure you have the very beginning of a spine stretch. And that is very simply that when your hands come down as they sink, the vertebrae in the back of your spine open up. And then when you come up, the vertebrae in the front of your spine open up. Your hands in movements 5 and 6 are similar to the hand movements of movement 2 with some subtle differences. And there should be some consideration in 5 and 6 that your spine and your qua should be joining together and telling your arms how to move. You're not moving your arms and then moving your spine and your qua. You're moving your spine and your qua to cause your arms to move. So you have a difference between the leader and the follower. Now, so some people don't get confused about this. The space of time between your qua bending and your spine bending, or your qua lengthening and your spine lengthening, is going to be less than a second. It just has to happen first. It doesn't have to be that if you have a leader and a follower, that there's a big space of time between between them before you start actually moving your body. It just has to be a little bit. And then in some ways, and that in some ways is not different than how in a stick shift car, you have to go to neutral before you go to the next gear. But you have to do that because you have to make sure that you make that connection. Otherwise, you will move your arms and then think about moving your qua. And the fact of the matter is that the inside is causing the outside to happen, not the outside causing the inside. The only time the outside causes the inside to happen is when you're working with your etheric field. Your movements are actually being generated from the inside of your body. Now you want to connect the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And later on in Gods, it will go further. You're also going to move inside your arms. But at this point, let's keep it a little simpler. You have to get the sense of going from the crown of your head through your body to your pelvis. And your tailbone has to be pointing downward or even slightly forward so that you have a sense of the energy inside your spine, translating through your pelvis, going through your legs to the bottom of your feet. And you maintain this in every single movement of Gods, because this is part of connecting the chi of your body into one whole. And everything I'm talking about, getting your mind inside your body, how you move all this stuff, is about connecting the nervous system. The only access I think anybody has to the nervous system is to do something that sensitizes them to it. You can do all sorts of biofeedback things, and then what happens? You see all those lights going on, and then you say, oh, I've connected my nervous system. Well, that's nice if you walk around with machines and a power pack on your back. But since that doesn't really happen, what you have is your mind. And the way that your mind must go to entering your body is it must go through your nerves. Otherwise, you will get no feedback if anything is happening. So putting your mind inside your body and connecting your nervous system are a little bit like a chicken and egg thing. Many forms of Qigong and many people who do athletics do something on the outside, and maybe they get something happening inside. But we're talking about Neigong now. We're talking about movement, and that Qi is inside your body. It's not 100 miles away. So you have to get that Qi that's happening in the basic things to ripple through your entire system. Until that Qi is inside your entire system, everything will not be moving together. But your first thing has to be to make sure that the Qi inside your body is connected to and is moving your arms and your legs. At a certain point, when you keep on doing this, it will become natural and you'll feel something moving inside your body. Now, if you can get your mind inside your body and move your mind inside your body, as your mind goes up your body, it will progressively get further inside your body. It will keep on traveling until it gets to your fingertips, and then traveling back to your dantian, and traveling to your fingertips and back to your lower dantian. Now, this is when you can begin to start feeling Qi inside your body. Now, during the first month in our training, as we were beginning, one of the things is you had to get your mind to be quiet. Otherwise, your internal noise will block you from doing anything. And then you have to get your mind to go inside your body. And when your mind goes inside your body, you should be feeling something. How deep does it go in? Does it only get to the layer of the Wei Qi just below the skin? Or does it get all the way to your central channel, all the way to your bone marrow? And that's going to take time, and it's progressing. But as you are doing all of that, remember, if we would look at the human body, whether it's your legs, your torso, or your arms, one good way is to think of it as a bullseye. The most outer ring is where you just penetrate your body, maybe a millimeter. And that's where your Wei Qi is. And then you try to ideally get to the next layer of the bullseye. And then maybe you go inside an inch, and so forth and so on, until you eventually get the sense of the Qi going to your bones, and then if you can, into the bone marrow itself, inside your bones. Now, I realize that this puts a little bit of a on you, but this is because I just want to set you up with what's going to happen later on in the program. But keep in mind, these are all very valuable things. So I want you to do another short flow and really try to feel your mind inside your body and the flow of your Qi causing the movement of your arms and legs.
Right, I'm gonna get off now because I have to get ready.
Okay,
I only have a minute and a half. So, all right,
thank
see you all
you.
later. All right,
Hi,
thank you.
Joanne.
See you, Joanne.
Bye, Joanne.
How many repetitions, David?
Just do 4.
Okay.
Good. So do you have any sense of your chi moving your arms and legs?
Only a little. In the first postures more than the later postures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess I'll leave it at that. I mean, I find the later postures they feel like there's more complexity there, so it's difficult to maintain a connection of moving the energy, especially while trying to connect to the central channel.
Mm.
So it makes it harder to feel like the energy is moving the arms rather than kind of all of the movement just trying to connect to the energy at all.
I completely understand where you are with that because I have the same thing. You get so focused on getting that circulation between the center channel and the left and right that it's very hard to also be aware that it is that is also moving the physical movements.
Right.
And the first goal is to make that connection between the center and the left and right. So you're doing absolutely the right thing, and it will come.
Okay.
Anything for you, Bill?
Well, that time around, I focused as much as I could on the Dantian,
Mm-hmm.
and stayed there, when I was focusing on anything. And tried, the theory being that would generate everything else. In terms of the movement and
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. So, and for the most part, that felt pretty decent. So
Good. Okay.
I'm not sure that was exactly what you had in mind, but we talked about getting the mind inside the body. And when I've tried to do that, I have a hard time controlling where the mind is going, here sometimes, there sometimes. So as I said, that time I tried to maintain the focus on one thing, and I figured the best thing would be the Dantian. So
no, I think that was a good thing to try.
Yeah.
And I think that eventually with practice, you'll find that you can be aware of moving the mind through the body, of it actually causing the chi to move.
Yeah.
But that's, yeah, it's one of those things that kind of has to develop because we've just been working. I'm presuming, I think everybody probably at this point doesn't have any difficulty really feeling their mind sinking through their body and therefore the chi sinking.
Right.
But the next stage is more complex and more difficult to get your mind to move through your body and do what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
And Bill, really good luck tomorrow. I hope.
Thank you.
Well, let us know how it is.
Okay. Yeah, I fully expect to be able to do something here next week, so.
Well, good.
Yeah.
We'll look forward to seeing you and having a report.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Adam.
Bye, Bill.
are your furnace men enjoying you doing class?
I don't know if that's good. Yeah, just a couple like follow-up stuff from when the furnace AC was installed,
Yeah.
finishing up on that. And then I have actually surgery tomorrow. Getting that lipoma in my hip removed. So
Oh, good.
just busy stuff going on
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I hope yours goes well.
Me too. I can't imagine anything would go wrong. It's a pretty minor surgery. So, but I guess you never know.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, I hope it goes well. I was going to remind you that one of the things I think you need to be aware of in God's is maintaining your pace.
Okay.
Particularly, it's noticeable in 2 and 5, because for some reason, when you start to come up, you want to explode up. That's that you aren't actually exploding, but there's a distinct increase.
Okay.
And I think trying to smooth that out a little bit may be helpful.
Yeah, I'll have to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it easier to regulate your pace when sinking and going down than when coming up. I mean,
Yeah.
Doing that kind of like slow squat up just is more difficult, I think.
It is, and your muscles have to be trained to do that.
Yeah.
We sometimes feel like we have to put extra effort into rising.
Yeah.
And so learning to smooth that out is, yeah. You'll get there.
All right. Yeah.
You're doing well.
Thanks.
Any form issues?
Not an issue, kind of a question. I find it it's almost easier to feel and focus on the energy moving through the quad if I don't focus on moving from the quad. If I focus on the body rotation, almost just kind of coming from the shoulders, it seems to let go of tension in the entire hip and quad area, and then things can move on their own. But just sort of like I don't know. I don't know if it's a question or a statement, or if that's kind of just probably not a good way to focus on it.
I don't think it's an ideal way.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, if clearly we've begun to realize that there are a number of ways to direct movement. We can do it with the energy. We can do it with the breath. We can use the legs to move the arms. I mean, there are multiple ways that these connections will work, do work. And we're trying to arrive at a point where we have a choice. Sometimes we want to use one, and sometimes we want to use another, but we do need to have the ability to move in a smooth, relaxed way from the qua. So eventually moving to that is going to be really kind of an important stage, because if you don't, if you allow tension to develop at the qua, obviously that's going to block the flow of the chi.
Yeah.
So it's again that that choice of allowing or making, and somehow you have to allow it to happen rather than forcing it to happen.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know what you, I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's a little bit counterintuitive to try to arrive at that.
Yeah, certainly.
And it I don't know why my mind, I suppose because shoulders and qua are connected. It occurs to me that it's the same, in a way, it's the same thing. It's interesting that you mentioned the shoulders before, because it's the same thing to get that movement that goes through the shoulder so that it can go through the scapula to the spine. And it's, you can block it anywhere along the way. And so being able to find out how do you allow that to release and open through that area, rather than tighten up and interfere with it or dissipate it, becomes really important. And it's really very similar, I think, to what you're trying to do with the qua. I don't know if that helps at all.
Yeah.
But it is certainly similar, and it is developing sung in the legs is difficult simply because we stand on them, and we have the force of gravity. And so in a way, it is learning how to work with those and not against them.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, perhaps.
Yeah, no, certainly. Certainly.
So I don't know. I didn't have anything else particular
Okay.
with the forum today. Seems to me we've got enough to work on.
Yeah, no, there's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
That's a tall list and not enough time, so.
You need an extra 12 hours a day.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, you know. That's all right.
Oh, listen, I hope things go well in your surgery, and I hope things smooth out at work. Jeez.
Yeah, appreciate it. No, I think tomorrow will go well with the surgery. You know, no real worries about that. And then we'll just kind of see, you know,
Yeah.
silver lining is if we can get through the next, I don't know, month and a half.
Yep.
We do have 9 new nurses starting.
Oh.
We just need to get them, you know, up to speed and trained. And that will patch in, you know, almost all of our staffing holes. It's just getting from here to there without hopefully anyone else leaving, you know.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's, you know, hopefully the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. But, you know, I'm beginning to see this is my 3rd summer doing this.
Yeah.
The staffing in hospitals just kind of goes in waves, that we get the new nurses in at the end of summer and they get trained up, and then last year's new nurses all start thinking like, oh, well, what do I want to really do with my career now that I have a little bit of experience? And, so everyone moves on to the ICU or the OR or whatever. Now that they kind of have something on the resume and can do
Yeah.
that. So whatever, it comes in waves.
Sounds like an ongoing problem.
Yeah, that's it. So
Yeah.
we'll be all right. We'll get through it. So,
Well, hang in there, and I'll look
Yeah.
forward to seeing you next week.
yeah, I think next week I should be able to be there in person.
Oh, good.
This was the only time that we could get the furnace guys here today. So
Oh, that's the kind of stuff you got to take care of when you
Yeah.
can.
I said, okay.
Yeah,
So don't worry.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully be there in person next week, David.
All righty.
All right, good seeing you. Have a good week.
Thanks. You too, Adam.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.